Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Amelia Buckley.
And we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help make it one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, happy Friday-worthy podcast. Today is Friday, the 2nd of April, 2021.
Yay!
Good morning, Kristy.
April 2nd. Good morning. So summer's still out today. So it's me and Amelia again. Stomach bug. We have had so little illness in our staff. We've been very, very fortunate this year. But unfortunately, we are people.
I know we jinxed ourselves because we were talking about how we've all been healthy as horses last week, and then now
catching
up to us.
A flu. Exactly. That's what happens. Before we came on in our pre-recording session, I was talking also about some of the other maladies that are plaguing me right now. And one of the big ones, which I'm really finding now that I'm aware of it, it makes me really annoyed, is just how the compulsion to respond to every single email as it comes in, or every single text, or every single Skype message, or every single Slack as it comes in, and how destructive that is to getting other work done in a regular day. And this week I've been working on a couple of writing projects. I've been reading things, and if I get a text, for example, when Summers texted me saying, "Oh, I don't feel very good, I'm going to have to take tomorrow off," I felt like I needed to respond right away, but then it becomes a whole back and forth. It's not just like an okay or a sure. It's a conversation you have on text, so it becomes a real time kind of conversation, and that is a killer in terms of time. And I don't know how much time I actually spend in those kinds of back and forth conversations. Like having a conversation over email or text is very inefficient. And I'm kind of thinking I might set up some time in my day where I don't even have my Outlook open or my text messages on. There'll be an automatic reply saying, "If you really need me, give me a call. Otherwise, I'll look at it after 3 or something like that, Give myself a day to work.
It's hard for our brains to jump between tasks like that. And so I think it's just honestly more efficient in the end to do all of your really deep thinking in a certain period of time, and then to set aside, a couple hours in your afternoon to go through your email, respond to those, go through Slack, respond to that. So you're kind of segmenting, because it's not effective for your brain to jump back and forth between thinking about an email and thinking about reading something. I caught myself doing the same thing this morning. I was in the middle of writing a sentence and I got a Skype message. And so I jumped over to read it, and then I jumped back to my page to finish my sentence, and I had completely lost my train of thought. I couldn't even remember what I was planning to end the sentence with.
Exactly.
It's hard for our brains to jump around like that.
It really is. And so like Nir Eyal is a author. He's like a social psychologist that I follow. He has this book, Indistractable: How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life. Who's the man who wrote Deep Work? Who's talking about deep work? I can't remember. Oh, Cal Newport. He's talking about how you have to be focused. You can't there's a cost. There's a mental cost. There's a productivity cost. And it's also, it doesn't feel good to be always distracting yourself. But then on the other side, like a lot of people are really annoyed if they text you and you don't get back to them right away. There's like this expectation which has been set up. And I'm not just talking about work. I mean, there's some of that in work, but also just in personal relationships. Like my husband gets really annoyed if people he texts don't respond instantly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's strange because I do the same thing with text as I do with my email. Sometimes if there's a lot of text coming in, I'm like, I'll deal with those in an hour. I'll open my phone on my lunch break and deal with all of those. But there is this instantaneous expectation because of how interconnected we are in the digital age. There's this expectation of continuous contact, and I think we need to shift our expectation. Just because you can contact someone and have it get to them immediately doesn't mean they're obligated to reply immediately.
Yeah, but it's just an interesting thing to think about. And I'm thinking about this also as we inch closer and closer towards being able to work in co-office space again. moving from the distributed workforce that we have now. And will always be a distributed workforce because we have people who are located all over the country, all over the world. But on the other hand, what are the expectations for responsiveness? And we need to talk about that as a company and create a different company culture, I think, where we know that there's boundaries and we are human beings who require boundaries. And just because we can always be available doesn't mean we should always be available.
Definitely. Well, it's funny because if I were in the office, I wouldn't barge straight into your office and say, Kristy, I need this right now. And then you wouldn't be obliged to go, oh, okay, Amelia, here you go. But when you get a Slack message, there's that different expectation that you don't have when you're in person.
So I just think that it's something that needs to be addressed and thought about in the business world and in our personal lives as well. Mm-hmm. So that's my current deep thought.
Well, jumping back to our team illnesses and promoting some healing, my headline that I wanted to talk about today is UCLA Archive of Healing promotes and protects indigenous folk medicine. And I picked this one because it's a really cool story. And I know if Summers was here, she would want us to talk about UCLA. So,
hey, I was born there, by the way. That's my...
In LA?
At UCLA. I was
at UCLA?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
That's my birthplace.
They're also surprisingly making their way to of the NCAA tournament. So it's a very timely UCLA themed article.
All right.
But this article is talking about a new archive that is at UCLA called the Archive of Healing. And the archive itself was actually started 40 years ago by Wayland Hand, but it's recently been digitized and gotten additional attention because of that. And it's an archive of basically lost indigenous folk medicine that otherwise would be forgotten or neglected. They're categorizing it and they're documenting all of it in an official archive so that this medicinal folklore, these herbal treatments and ritual healing from across the globe from different cultures doesn't get lost over time. And the article talks a lot about how, as we emphasize the importance of Western medicine, we've lost a lot of attention to these natural or homeopathic remedies that we've relied on for thousands of years. And so they're hoping that their collection will draw attention to this and also preserve these aspects of our culture that were so important for so long and continue to be.
I love this story. And I think it's such an important subject to be talking about, especially now that I was listening to an interview earlier today about CRISPR with Walter Isaacson, who has a new book out there. Now that modern medicine has, it's this whole new technology. There's whole new, we have the vaccines that we're all excited about because it'll get us out of this pandemic period more quickly. We can get back to something more in terms of social interaction. But there's so much wisdom that in terms of health and in terms of healing that gets forgotten or overlooked. And the prominence of sort of Western allopathic medicine and the suppression of these kinds of traditional healing is really, it's unfortunate. And so I think this is a great article, a great story, a great thing to be thinking about. Like, what does it mean to be healthy? Our bodies are healing engines. How can you just support your own healing, your own immunity, and not have to rely on medicine to take a pill for diabetes? That's really important. And it's amazing that people can, take insulin because that used to be a deadly disease. But the fact is, it's partly caused by how we are living our lives. Mm-hmm. And there's so much healing that can happen if you just really change your diet. And that's really hard to do because the social pressures and the cultural pressures, like we were talking about the cultural pressure, the social pressure to respond to an email in an instantaneous way. There's also the advertising to drink sugary drinks or to eat instant food that is so bad for your body. I just like this article, and you're going to have to cut out all of my anyways because I keep saying anyway this morning. And
that's okay.
I like that you chose this
yesterday, and I couldn't stop saying like. I was appalled with myself.
Well, good thing we have the editing room then, isn't it?
my magical tools. Speaking of magical tools, what is your story about this morning?
I just had to highlight this one because the headline was hilarious to me, and it's also a great solution. The headline reads, "How to Stop a Lake from Exploding? Turn it into a Power Source." And this is from the energy section on the Optimist Daily, but it's also kind of an environmental solution in a way, because it's using a natural resource for more than just one use. And this is about Lake Kivu, which is on the border of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And in most lakes, the convection helps cool the water. It cool the mixed water from the depths and the warm with the surface. But Lake Kivu is actually located right over a rift of the continental shelf. And so there's volcanic activity, which is always feeding carbon dioxide and methane into the lake's depths, where those gases are trapped by the volume of water. But it's an explosive mix deep down there. And there's some concern that it's basically a ticking time bomb that could literally explode with some devastating results. And so to address the issue, the Rwandan government is tapping into these deep methane reservoirs to simultaneously reduce the chance of explosion. And also, this is a natural gas that can be used for heating, industrial uses, for automobiles. So it's something which is just seeping up from the ground. And right now it's trapped under the lake. It's an interesting solution to phase out using the natural gas from the lake to phase out wood stoves for heating and cooking, which is even more of a carbon release for the atmosphere, but it's also worse for the people using those heating stoves. And as bad as natural gas is, using wood for heating and cooking is even worse for air pollutants. So anyway, this is a $400 million project, which is being done in partnership with Gas Meth Energy. It's offering a cleaner energy source, reducing air pollution, and organized around Rwanda, around this potentially exploding lake. So the government hopes the project will also help avoid, because there was a nearby lake, Lake Nyos, that had a similar type of situation, and it did explode, releasing a gas cloud that asphyxiated almost 1,800 people. That was back in 1986. So that's the potential time bomb that they're trying to avoid. So this extraction project began in 2019. It's expected to be completed so that it's supplying a continuous stream of natural gas to the residents by the end of 2022. I just thought it was a interesting and fun and ingenious use of trapped gas beneath water.
Hitting two birds with one stone.
Literally.
All right. Well, what are some of the other stories that we have on the Optimist Daily today?
Let's just
Is there
read
anything
headlines.
else that caught your attention?
Well, I mean, there's most of these stories I found very interesting, but I'll just read the headlines so we can move on to the rest of our days and turn off our email notifications and actually do some work. But some bladeless wind turbines that may revolutionize the renewable sector. This is a technology which could actually be very productive of new wind energy. 3D bioprinting breakthrough. Turns out you can print living skin onto patient wounds. It's a new kind of bandage. There's organizations which are empowering communities with bike education. 3 proposed solutions for California's purple sea urchin crisis. I guess the sea urchins are eating all the kelp, and this is a problem. So go out there, collect some urchins, and enjoy some uni. And also, while you're doing that, improving school lunches in a post-pandemic world is something we should really think about. And how do we help our children be healthy and eat healthy and help the school day be better for more kids? Scientists turn old tires into graphene for more sustainable concrete, another use of what otherwise would just fill up in landfills. There's an app that helps young professionals maintain their hair and their health. And choose eco-friendly burial garments for a sustainable, stylish departure. This is a fun story about how what you wear, what you wrap your when you're going into your grave. Like, save me,
There's
Amelia.
no smooth way to say it. How to dress more sustainably for your end of life.
Well, that's everything today on the Optimist Daily. Clearly, it's Friday and we all need a break. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to keep sharing these kinds of positive, solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in the changing world, ensuring it's changed for the good. If you're not already, please consider becoming an emissary in the optimistdaily.com and help support reader-funded independent journalism for starting at just $5 a month, or share it with friends and help us grow our audience and get more people thinking with that solution mindset and changing the consciousness of our world, addressing our biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being a part of this, and we will see you on Monday with more. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, Amelia. You too have a great weekend.